We're going to go visit with our good friend over here, David Lazarus. He's a local artist. Hi, David.
Gino.
How are you, sir?
Good.
What do we have here?
Well, we're trying to put up a tent.
Oh, a tent?
Yeah, for the open house. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And as you can see, it's something of a puzzle.
Well, where'd you get it from? Nantucket Rental?
Yeah, we're just calling them now. They're going to come over and help.
Oh, so your open house is today?
It is.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, come on in. And what we'll do is we'll show you what we're trying to present in the gallery and you know, in the studio and the workshop, and then we'll get the left-hand side of the brain into shape. See if we can put up a tent. A little bit.
Hey, if we can help in any way. Well, you know, we're working class.
Are you on a schedule? I mean, what's the deal?
We'll give you a hand. All right. I mean, if we can get everything finished. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Susan.
Hi, Susan. I'm Gino.
Hi, Gino. Nice to meet you.
So there it is, Lazarus Studio.
Come on in.
All right.
There you go, fellas.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, that's good.
Nantucket Rental, ladies and gentlemen.
On the roof of
The owner of Nantucket Rental.
No, my wife owns it.
Okay, there you go. Behind every good man, there's a very powerful woman. At least. Well, now that we've got the tent set up, we will have a little meeting here with David Lazarus. David is a local artist, printmaker, and his studio, if you should wish to stop in and say hello, is on Old South Road, just past the turnoff for the airport road. How are you today, David?
Not too bad, thanks.
And why don't you just tell us what's happening today?
Okay, well, today what we have is what we call an open house, and the kind of accent on today's activity is a sort of interactive introduction to printmaking, to an artist studio, which is not just a studio, but a little bit of a gallery as well. And what we're trying to do is get people to see and enjoy the process of making the work as well as the work itself. Okay. I've been on the island now 21 years. I came here originally from England, traveled all around the States, and discovered the craft, or art as some people refer to it, of scrimshaw in the Pacific Northwest. Took to it and traveled with it until I got to Florida, where I met someone that had a business up here, offered me a job on Nantucket, and I ended up here. Scrimshaw is really what I have a kind of a reputation for here, and it's been a very beneficial process and craft and profession for me to have it to make my living. It's only one side of my artwork, though, and it's hard sometimes to kind of get people to understand that I actually possibly more fond of doing my painting and my printmaking now than... Well, the paintings are, interestingly enough, a completely opposite approach to the fine detailed line work of the scrimshaw. I think possibly as a reaction against the tight, controlled nature of the work I do on ivory, I try and paint in a very loose, what we call a sort of plastic, post-impressionist sort of way. Okay, subject matter is a good topic here because, you know, the landscapes that we all love so much here are somewhat limited in that the island's topography is naturally very horizontal. Mm-hmm. I discovered last year and the couple of years previous to that there are a few vertical landscapes to be seen here in the guise of what I call industrial landscapes. And what I mean by that really is the electric plant in particular. The more working guts of the island rather than the pretty side of the island. And there is a wonderful opportunity for an artist, if you go around the back of the A&P, to document and paint an old piece of machinery that won't be there very much longer. Okay, I'm going to show two different types of printmaking today. The most ancient and I find most exciting is the relief print. A relief print is called a relief print because you are taking your print from the highest surfaces of a wooden block. In my case, I engrave on the end grain of maple, which is actually a very dense wood that allows me to get quite a lot of detail on my block. And if I can just start rolling some ink onto a block down here, you'll be able to see the process. Again, this is one of the older systems of printmaking, and in many ways could be described as a sophisticated rubber stamp technique. But what we're going to do is roll some pigment onto a block, in this case a very sticky black ink, which will lie only on the surface of this block. It will not go down into the lines that I've carved, but it will sit on the surface. So what we will actually do when we print this is take all the ink from the surface and transfer it to the paper. This is a green man who is one of my favorite gargoyle figures.
Okay.
So if you can see the block now,
yes.
And we're just going to place the paper down on here, slide it under the blanket. And again, this is not unlike one of those old mangles that used to, I can get my arm under here, that used to wring out your clothing. It's just a steel roller on the top and on the bottom of the bed, and as I roll the press, it will transfer under about 1,200 pounds of pressure the ink from the block to the paper.
Wow.
And here we have, somewhat off-center and rather quickly printed, but a nice little image of a laughing green man. This is actually a portrait of the architect in a cathedral in England, and he had himself carved into the choir stalls as a green man. Rather a happy green man. Now the other technique of printmaking, also done on a very similar press, but the one behind us, is called dry point. Now a dry point is a print made from the lower parts of an engraved image. In other words, what I have scratched into a plate, I will rub ink into, and the lines which are filled with ink will then pick up onto the paper. I use a see-through material, a plexiglass. This is basically very inexpensive material from any hardware store. It's just a plastic see-through material.
Oh, yes.
Now this would have been of great benefit to the old map makers of the 14th century, who had to engrave everything back to front on a steel plate, including obviously letters and names. Everything had to be back to front. Had they had this material, they could have worked much more efficiently.
Okay.
Now I'm working this on a light box, and you'll see why in a minute. When I have done that, I'm going to now take off the excess ink to reveal the image underneath. This is a slightly more skilled process than just rolling ink onto the surface of a woodblock. What you have to do here is take off just the right amount of ink and leave ink in your scratches, but not on the surface.
Right.
And successfully we prepared the plate, but as we take this off, we have a fairly presentable image here.
Exactly. Let me go on a little closer so that we can...
This is called the thinking cap, and it's one of a series of images that I'm working on to do with different hats and different terms given to hats, like hard hat, thinking cap. I think we could come up with some fairly whimsical images. This is the first of the series, okay. But I've got a few in progress now, and I think we can get a fun little series out of this.
Very nice. What about, maybe you could just show us how you actually carve?
Certainly.
Could we just see a little?
So using a scribe, which is basically just a sharp steel tipped tool, I'm going to scratch into the surface of this plate. Wherever I create these scratches, I'm basically creating an area that will hold the ink when we ink the plate.
I see. And
this is the basic idea.
But you don't see the scratches.
Well, you can't see the scratches. I, however, can actually see where I'm going, and I can see where I'm going because I have a light source above me that is bouncing off this polished surface into my eye. So wherever I break not only the surface of this material, but break the reflective surface, I create a grayish line that I can then see. This is always one of the mysteries to people who watch me work. They go, well, how can you see where you're going? And it is just with the aid of a reflecting light source. Basically is what we're doing here today, and what I want to do is enjoy this process with as many people as possible, including yourself, so that people can see what's involved in making a print. There is a great deal of confusion today about printmaking. Some people really don't understand the difference between what we call a photolitho print, which is a poster version of printmaking, which is in essence a print, but is quite different from a hand-pulled and handmade print like this, in the same way that a photographer who works in a darkroom developing and manipulating their own print, such as Claudia Cronenberg, she is creating the print herself, which makes the product, in my opinion, much more related to the artistic process, much closer to the artist's intention. As soon as you kind of lose control of that area of your work, you become, I think, less capable of creating exactly the look that you want.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you very much, David. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure, Gino, and thank you for coming out to the studio today. We're located near the airport in the complex where the restaurant AK Diamonds is, and I look forward to having people come out anytime to see what we're doing here.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye now.